the end of this month, by law, the Pentagon is required to tell the public what it knows about UFOs. We're hearing the report is coming out on or about June 25th. Yesterday, someone at the Pentagon gave an early read on the report to the New York Times. In that story, we learned the Pentagon cannot say that UFOs are from a different solar system, but they can't say they're not. They can't say they're from China or Russia, but they can't say they're not. Doesn't sound like they can say much of anything. Lou Elizondo is a longtime Pentagon official. For years, he oversaw investigations at the U.S. government into UFOs. He's left now. He and his organization, Skyfort, have obtained a government document that proves the advanced Tic Tac UFO has been tracked by American military intel services for at least 70 years. That's much earlier than we thought. Lou Elizondo joins us tonight. Lou, thanks so much for coming on.
Tucker, always a privilege. Thank you.
Thank you. I want to ask you about this document first before I ask you about the upcoming report. What is this document you've obtained show us?
Well, this is a document that was obtained through the Freedom of Information Act, and it demonstrates quite clearly that we have had issues with these, if you will, these UAPs or UFOs in the vernacular for at least 70 years, at least since 1950, probably earlier. And this is official U.S. government correspondence. This isn't some eyewitness report from a civilian. This is official government documentation from military personnel to very senior military brass. And what it says is very quite compelling that, look, we've had a lot of military and intelligence eyewitnesses, to include special agents and scientists, and all of them are seeing these things. And more importantly, the frequency has occurred on a regular and continuing basis over sensitive U.S. military facilities. And this has been occurring, Tucker, again, since 1950, according to official U.S. government documentation. So think about that for a minute when we talk about that on the backdrop of this recent revelation that the U.S. government has finally admitted that this is not some sort of secret U.S. technology. Well, okay, that's great. We already knew that. But now there is some wiggle room to say, well, maybe it's some sort of foreign adversarial technology. Well, here's the problem with that theory, because we know that the Russians, after the Berlin Wall came down, they shared a lot of information with us. There was this 5-year period or so, this new romance between us and Russia, where they shared a lot of their UFO information with us. And by the way, they were seeing exactly the same thing in their skies that we were. So we're sure it's not Russian. So then really the only other country that could possibly be would maybe be China. Well, let's look at that for a second, Tucker, because you're talking about a country that for 70 years has kept this technology that was at least 1,000 years ahead of us, kept it secret, was able to employ it against us all the way back in 1950. By the way, this is the same country that steals billions of dollars worth of our technology each year, trying to keep a competitive advantage to this day with our country. Now, does that make a whole lot of sense to you?
No. It does. I mean, there were famines in China 70 years ago. Quickly, there seems to be some connection, anecdotally there is, between these objects and nuclear reactors, nuclear warheads, nuclear-powered vehicles, submarines, and warships. We didn't get nuclear technology, of course, until the end of the Second World War, 44, 45. We had airplanes. We had an Army Air Corps going back to the First World War. Were there sightings of these before the United States possessed nuclear technology?
There were anecdotal sightings, but really there seems to be a significant uptick. Once the United States and other countries really entered into the atomic age, we began to see an increased uptick, what appeared to be some sort of reconnaissance or surveillance of our nuclear technology, our nuclear development, whether it's power or propulsion or weapon systems and related technology.
Yeah. It's amazing. It's a tantalizing suggestion. I'm not sure what it means, but I think it's interesting as hell. Lou Elizondo, I appreciate your coming on tonight. I hope we see you soon.
Wu-Sabat. Greetings, family. Greetings. All right. Let's see. Okay. Wu-Sabat to our Musba'u Yasar. And greetings to everyone out there. We're just getting started. We wanted to start with that clip because, excuse me, it's going to be relevant to our topic and our discussion today. So that's why we wanted to start with that particular tip. But as usual, let's just get started with our intros. For those who do not know me, my name is Peti Sina Tebtu Urae, and I've been over a 30-year student teacher of the profound doctrine of the master teacher, known to us as Dr. Malachi Z.K. York, also known as Panabab Yananan, who has been teaching us our ancient culture that we call Wu-Sabat, also identified as Wu-Nuwa. And this is a culture that we teach. It stands for those who make decisions based on sound right reasonability, based on the principles of Ma'at, based on following the wisdom of the Tehuti. And we teach this due to the simple fact that this is the ancient culture of our African ancestors that we used to live by, and we used to have a harmonious lifestyle and advanced civilizations that we don't have anymore. All of it has been destroyed, and the reason why it has been destroyed is due to the fact that we've lost our reasonability. And this is the reason why we're teaching this doctrine, due to the fact that our people are not reasoning soundly the way they used to reason before, and we're suffering worldwide. And we're arguing we're suffering because of our decision-making skills. We don't reason things out. We do not live the way our ancestors used to live, where their whole focus is being in tune and in harmony with natural nature. And this is what we're dedicated as students of Wu-Sabat to teach, to begin to re-educate our people, to get back to our ancient culture. So for those who are new to this and who are watching this, we just want to let you know every Tuesday from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we do these discussions for people who want to ask questions. And myself as a student, try my best to answer it to the best of my ability. I'm just one of many students of the master teacher. I'm not infallible, right? I can and do make mistakes. That's why I always recommend people to watch our lectures more than once. Definitely watch our lectures more than once. I myself watch my own lectures more than once, and I learn from my own self and mistakes. So if I got to watch it more than once, definitely you guys would need to watch it more than once. So, and I recommend that for everything that I talk about. And definitely when it comes to the master teacher, the literature that he put out, the lectures that he put out, I always recommend. We always taught study our data more than once for memory drill and for clarity, because there's no way, especially the subject matters that we deal with, there's no way that people could pick it up for the first time listening to it. And I'm talking from years of experience dealing with this. So take my advice. Watch our stuff more than once if you are dedicated to becoming a student and really trying to comprehend what it is that we're teaching and the significance of what we're teaching. So, like we do every week, we start with what we call our namaz, our prayer system, right? And so I want to, first thing, let's see, is share my screen. So those who have the prayer system, they can follow. Now, of course, the prayer system is in English and in our language, Musba'u. And so we definitely invite anyone who wants to follow along. You can read it. And if you want to get access to it, I have no problem sending it out to anybody who wants to learn the prayer system that we go through. And just so you know, for those who do not know, prayer is basically an affirmation system. It is also a system that is designed to assist you with making communication with your ancestors, who do exist on higher dimensions. I repeat, our prayer system is a system of affirmations, right? And a system of communicating with your ancestors who do exist on higher dimensions. And this is the whole basis behind our teachings. Our whole teachings is about re-educating our people on how to make contact with our ancestors who exist on higher dimensions. And this is a process, and all of our lectures are designed, are dedicated to in essence educating our people about this simple reality. Okay, so I'm going to get started to go through the prayer system, and then after the prayer system, we go through our core principles, and then we get into our discussion for our topic for the day. So let's begin. Abdul Kalal Namasa Wubazun Ameh Kasaman Afar Pa Paut. Anuki Jawab Pa Ashuk M Pa Paut. Wu Kala Ashuk Kawun Jawaf Naya. Anuki Kasaman M Pa Paut. Wu Pa Paut Kawun Kasaman M Naya. Anuki Wahu Ama Pa Paut. Wu Pa Paut Kawun Wahu Ama Naya. Naku Kador Naju Ameh Kasaman M Pa Paut. Wu Khabu Ameh Shikasun. Naku Kador Kawan Kala Pafaf Naku Daya Jawep Pa Paut. Ama Wasu Ama Daya Ni Kawun Lake Bakui Jawep Pa Paut. Anuki Yabab Bi Nafasni. Pa Paut Kawun. Anuki. Pa Paut Kador. Naku Kador. Pa Paut Amu. Naku Amu. Lahahum Manahnu. Layahum Manahnu. Ahumata Korehum. Ahumata Korekum. Ahumata Korenun. Ahumata Jawefnaya. Ahumata Naya Wu Anuki Hum. Ye Ashuk Re'e. Asmuya Jayenun. Ye Unataru Akfuknun. Anunata Kharaukum. Ye Unataru Akfuknun. 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 Ye Unataru Nun. Anun. Atun. Atun. Amun. Ye Yeu Namazo Wahu. Yeu Mufaku. Yehu Yehu. Yeu Nataru. Yesaya Yesaya. Yeu Nataru. Yehika Yehika. Yeu Nataru. And kum atapa mufaku. Yehu Yehu. Yeu Nataru. And kum atapa mufaku. Anunata Kharaukum. Yeu Wu Enkum Ata Yasanu. Yehu Yehu. Yeu Nataru. Akfush Muklas Nun. Atum Re'e. Yehu Yehu. Yeu Nataru. Namazo Atu. Akfush Enhu. Yeu Muktamu Afutnun. Entkum Manah Yaka Laduda Salafunun. Wu Yasaunun. Manah Yaka Sawura Pa Ba'a. Manah Yaka Kawuna Ka'u. Manah Yaka Ata Akha. Manah Yaka Kawuna Basha Wu Daman. Yeu Nataru Muktam Unun. Akfush Muftad Nun. Enhu Kawun Manzal Manah Pa Nataru. Akfush Enhu. Enhu Kawun Baba Yananun. Akfush Enhu. Anhu Kawun Natum Re'e. Akfush Anhu. Anhu Kawun Khafush. Namazo Talu. Yeu Nataru Salafunun. Akfutnun Manah Pa Mujwa'u. Akfutnun Manah Tag Huan. Yeu Nataru Akfutnun. Manah Sayar Ghayara. Akfutnun Akfutnaya. Akfutnun Akfutnaya. Yeu Nataru Nun. Namazo Rabu Pa Tashun. Nakuk Talub Tashun Bi Pa Nataru. Manah Pa Lain Lawi Tananu. Kala Ranam Atni Ata Laha Pa Nataru. Wu Kala Namazo Atni Ata Laha Kayat Yatun Laya Pa Nataru. Pa Sawa Wu Pa Tarak. Panan Safa Kawun. Pa Sawa Wu Pa Tarak. Z Kawuna Nazula Laha Enkum. Manah Saba'at Wu Sa'at. Ama Hade An Wu Shafe'un. Manah Salafukum Wu Nataru. Ajula Ya Nafasukum. Afuk Shana Kawunkum. Pa sawa wu pa tara. Pa hadayan wu pa shafe. And nun tawa enkum. Lahe panan shafe wu alaj. And nun tawa enkum lahe tim nasuinun. And nun tawa enkum lahe ashukuma. Enkum ata salafunun. And nun ata kharaukum. And nun talub nasakuma. And nun talub nasakuma. And so nun sayim nataru. And so nun salafunun. And nun ata musba'u. Anun. Atun. Atun. Amun. Ye unataru nun. Ye mufta'u. Ye nataru. Ye atum re'e. Ye nata. Ye nun. Ye nata. Ye nunta. Ye natata. Ye ha. Ye nata. Ye hata. Ye natata. Ye kak. Ye nata. Ye kakta. Ye natata. Ye amun. Ye nata. Ye munta. Ye natata. Ye umukemu ye. Ye nataru. Ye atum. Ye nata. Ye shawah. Ye nata. Ye tafaf nata. Ye natata. Ye sabab. Ye nata. Yanata yanatata, Yasta yanatata, Yasa yanata, Yanabab tahata yanatata, Yasata yanata, Yahara yanata, the Tara Shalil Pa Mae, Yahabtwi yanata, Yanakta yanatata, Yaha Haratwi yanata, the Tara Shalil Pa Nawar, Yanafatum yanata, Yamantu yanata, Yababti yanata, Yasakhamta yanatata, Yahata Harata yanatata, Yabai Bish yanata. Ye fa yanata, ye basta yanatata, ye imhata yanata, natara shalil pa hawe, ye anhu yanata, ye mata yanatata, ye mahat yanatata, ye khafre yanata, ye miskanat yanatata, ye urayeta yanatata, ye khentimentiu yanata, ye hika yanatata, ye natata yanatata, ye maat yanatata, ye uranenta yanatata, ye she yanatata, ye sasha yanatata, ye mafta yanatata, the Tara Shalil Pa Taha, Ye Sabak Yanata, Ye Anap Yanata, Ye Khanum Yanata, Ye Khanash Yanata, Ye Fanun Yanata, Ye Saye Yanata, Ye Hakta Yanatata, Ye Amash Yanata, Ye Sadaptu Yanata, Ye Atum Ra'e Yanatata, Ye Tehuti Yanata, Ye Fawarat Yanatata, Ye Sakata Yanatata, Ye Ha Yanata, Ye Nahem Ka'a Yanata, Ye Saka Yanata, Ye Ba'a Yanata, Ye Aka Yanata, Ye imharata yanatata, ye wapavata yanata, ye sakata yanatata, ye merita sakata yanatata, ye sayeta yanatata, ye karata yanatata, ye asa inu yanata, ye bahata yanatata, ye khanamta yanatata, ye manakta yanatata, ye khamam yanata, ye mahatu yanata, ye kabesan and afaf yanata, ye da mata afaf yanata, ye merita yanatata, ye nasat yanata, ye mdadata yanatata, ye nakhakwata yanatata, ye sakhata yanatata, ye anakta yanatata, ye dadad yanata, ye tum yanata, ye wahu yanata, ye yasas yanata, ye naku yanata, ye afnu yanata, ye sata yanatata, ye sakhatu yanata, ye ma'at yanata, ye nana yanata, ye mnuwet yanata, ye msataktu yanata, ye mukdalta yanatata, ye rohashafaf yanata, ye maratu yanata, Ye amun hore yanata. Ye hu anun ata kaleh jawaf baut. Okay, Jedna 4. All right. So now that was our prayer system. All right. Excuse me. And from there, we go into our affirmations. And listen, also greetings, Rahobat, to everyone who's in the chat. We always appreciate to see you guys. So definitely, I want to send out definitely ashak to everyone that is here and everyone who's watching, who will be watching. And so always send out ashak, which is divine love, to everyone. And so now we want to go over our core principles of Wu-Sabat. We do this every week. This is extremely important so that for those who are studying our doctrine, you understand what is it our organization is about, what is our goals, what is our objectives, what is our focal point, what is it that we have been teaching for over 50 some odd years. And so this is a breakdown of clear principles of what we stand for, what we're about, what our objectives are. So this is why we do this for those who do not know. Okay. So the core principles of Wu-Sabat / Wu-Nawab, the first principle is Ashak, which stands for the power of love, right? The whole basis of this is Ashak. This is the essence of our ancestors. We always represented Ashak. Okay. And Ashak is a spirit force, it's a power itself of creation. Okay. The next principle is resurrection. Our whole doctrine that we teach is about resurrection, to become gods again. And you do this by opening up your third eye. And we're going to do, in fact, next week is what we're going to focus on, this topic right here, resurrection, to give everyone more clarity of what this is all about. And the next principle is the wisdom of Tehuti and Ma'at. Tehuti stands for the mind, Ma'at stands for order. And today's discussion will be about the wisdom of Tehuti. So this is what we're going to be talking about today. The next principle is relationships. As African people, we always live of, for, and by each other, as a tribe, as a community, as one family. And as Black people around the world, we have gotten away from that. And this is why we argue we are suffering as a people, because we have adopted foreign cultures, in particular, Western culture, capitalism, and it's really destroying us. And the only way we can solve our problems is getting back to the cultures that work for us. Right. And so we'll be talking about that more. Next principle, number 5, is morphic resonance and / matrix. Morphic resonance is dealing with vibrations, sounds, tones, color, and matrix is dealing with materials that manifest from morphic resonance. And we're going to be doing discussions on that as well. The next principle is soul and spirit. What is soul and spirit? Your soul is your emotional body, and your spirit is your life force, your life body. And we're going to be doing discussions on that. Last week, we did our discussion on Leviathan. So for those who have not seen that discussion, definitely watch what the discussion on Leviathan we did last week, which stands for moon culture, aka religion, aka Western culture, right? And if you saw it, I recommend watch it again. As I keep telling you guys, the last principle is principle health. Health is based on first positive mind, right? Always be positive. Black people are suffering because we're so negative. We are so negative today. And this is the main cause of suffering, right? In fact, they say depression and anxiety are the leading causes of disease in the body. Okay, stress, main cause of the disease in the body. Positive mind destroys all of that. Next for health is sunlight. We as African people must get sunlight. We are people that need to be in the sun 90% of the time. Unfortunately, in Western culture, we're indoors 90% of the time. So you guys need sunlight. We because of lack of it, we're suffering from vitamin D deficiency, and it's hurting us. Again, water. I can't stress it enough. You must drink water. The body is 70% water. You need water for life. Fasting, okay? Again, like I said, our culture is about ma'at. Ma'at is about balance. One day you eat, another day you fast. One day you eat, another day you fast. Black people, especially in the West, really around the world, we're suffering from obesity. Okay, we're eating too much, and fasting balances you out. Again, herbal diet. We eat the 4 poisons of Western culture, which is blood products, right? Flesh, processed foods, all that salt, sugar, and whatever candy, starch, right? Rice and potatoes, and dairy products, the cheese, the butters, the milks. That's the diet of the Western world, and it's poison. It's poison to us. Okay, so herbal diet, guys. Exercise. Life is about exercise. You need your blood, the blood flow. Exercise is a must. Rhythmic breathing. That's another thing. We breathe improperly. Okay, meditation is also a process of health. Meditation, teach you to quiet the mind, to go into the state of blackness, right? That's the ultimate state of peace, and that's how you tap into the force of ashak, love, right? Concentration exercises. Our people don't know how to focus. We don't know how to stay focused to get things done. That is an exercise you must learn to develop concentration abilities. Next is prayer. right? Prayer is a form of communicating with your higher self, communicating with your ancestors, and it's a form of affirmations. Okay, and then chanting. Our ancestors was always chanted. This was a ritual to keep our bodies in our natural tones. Okay, and this is all based around health. And the last principle is pa'ut, the existence of the all. Pa'ut means to create a force, and which is based on the cycles of nature, which is the smat circle, which is based on the energy that grew everything, which is ach. Right? It's translated as ether, what we call nine ethers, the creation force. In our language, in our culture, we call it ach. Okay. So those are the 9 principles that we teach. That's the essence of our whole doctrine. Once you comprehend those in depth, then you'll have a great comprehension of what we teach and why we teach what we teach. Now, once you choose to become a student of Wu-Sabat, you have 3 primary goals we talk about. First goal is to raise the self. Second goal is to fight Leviathan. And third goal is to work to build Sabbatia. So when we get back to the first goal, to raise the self, this is about what Christians say. You must learn to be born again. What that means is giving up the old culture, killing that old culture, Western culture, and to live your new culture, to strive to live Wu-Sabat. Now, once you are choose this culture, one of the first objectives here is to correct your name by choosing a Sabaean name, right? That's one of the first things you do, is to correct your name and to make your name known to all, right? To live your culture. Next is to correct how you look, the way you dress, the way you carry yourself. Next is to learn our language. We call it Lahaj, Sabaean, right? Speak your language. And we're going to get into that today. And you must study our doctrine every day. This is very important to really comprehend our doctrine. And then the other thing, you must practice and master our daily rituals we teach, and always be positive. Again, you can't call yourself a Sabaean if you're negative. Next is fight Leviathan. These are the adverse forces, the forces of 6 ether that we talked about last week in our discussions, right? This includes working to free Panabab Yananan, the master teacher, promoting Wu-Sabat to all, become a student teacher, and fight the 5 strongest weapons of Leviathan, which is what? Lust, lies, deception, slander, and gossip. The Leviathan feeds off of these energies, and it's destroying us as a people, because this is how we live today. We're addicted to lust. We're constantly lying. We're very deceptive. We love the slander, and we love gossip. Guys, you got to conquer that. It's destroying us. And the last objective is to work to build Sabbatia. We work to support each other in business. We help each other reach positive goals. We help to build our government. We must set up a landing zone for Panatharu in Africa, which means we need land in Africa that would be supported by an African government. This is very important. And the last thing is Ashak is the key to accomplish all our goals, right? The power of love is you have to stay in that power of love, Ashak, when you're working on accomplish your goals. The last thing, what does it mean to be a Sabaean, right? These are other principles of being a Sabaean. Sabaean is someone who's thoughtful and cares, someone who's helpful and honest, someone who's responsible and hardworking, someone who demands justice, someone who is righteous, always trying to make the right decisions, someone who's positive and cheerful, someone who's loving and peaceful, and someone who's clean, and someone who's kind and considerate. So again, this is the whole basis of what it means to be a Sabaean, and it is important that you guys study this and comprehend what this is all about. Okay, so with that all being said, let's see. We're going to go into our discussion today. And again, I want to say Rahobat and greetings to all of you guys who are in the chat. And like always, if you guys have any questions or concerns concerning what we teach and what our discussion is about, I'm more than happy to assist and to help you guys in anything, in any way I can, because that's what I'm here to do. So today's discussion is about what we call the wisdom of Tehuti, aka the Kabbalah, aka the Word made flesh. Okay, we have a lot to cover in this topic. Now, all right, so let's get started. Let's get started. Now, who is Tehuti? Who is Tehuti? Very important thing to know. Who is Tehuti? Okay, Tehuti, whose proper name is Tehuti, is the mind of existence, right? So Tehuti, they say Tehuti, but the proper translation, was some would argue, is Tehuti. Tehuti is, and it represents the mind of existence. Okay, now Tehuti represents our higher mind of sound right reasoning, aka Wu-Sabat. For he was from Cyrus, aka what our ancestors call Subdetet, right? So Cyrus star system was identified as Subdetet, and they call it Cyrus. The Greeks basically changed the name to Cyrus, whatever. Okay, now Tehuti teaches us the laws of nature, or aka we say the rules of nature, for he was the master of it. Tehuti was identified by our ancestors as a moon god, as well as the god who protects Re'e against Apophis, or aka Leviathan. So he was on a boat of Re'e, and his Hamatet, or wife, was Ma'at, and they stood side by side defending Re'e against Apophis, right? So this was another principle of Tehuti, as well as the God who recorded our actions and deeds, right? So Tehuti is the recorder of time, as well as the God who maintained Ma'at, right? As well as the God or mind of creation, having no beginning of days or end of life, which is why he was called thrice great. Okay, so this is one of the attributes of Tehuti. Now, Tehuti is the husband of Ma'at, so that's important to know. Tehuti was called thought by the Greeks, which became the English word thought or mind, and which comes from, now the word mind comes from the Nathar min, and this is where the word amun comes from. You take off the a in front of amun, and you get mun or min, the Nathar, the deity of fertilization, or the deity of creation. Now, the symbol of Tehuti is the ibis bird, which is the symbol of the aka ether energy. Now, let's see if I can bring that up. The ibis bird. If I can bring up the ibis bird, the let's see. You know what? Let me go here so you guys can see this. Okay, so you guys can see this is the okay? And so this is where we get the word ether from, in our culture, And so here we at, this is the Britannica, I guess, Encyclopedia Britannica. You gotta subscribe, so, okay, can't see it from there. What else has it? Let's see, Wikipedia, okay. So here's the, let's see if they have a symbol of the This is the symbol of the So the was the ibis bird, okay? And it stood for intellect, or it was the energy of creation itself, the The Greeks call the ether. That's where they get the term ether from. So I just kind of wanted to give you guys a heads up on that, what is. So let's go back. So the head of the Tehuti was the symbol of the ibis bird, which is the which signify the energy of the human mind. So when you see the Tehuti has the head of the ibis bird, it means that the brain, the synapses, the energy of the brain is ether energy. And he was the personification of the mind, of ether energy, the mental, or the mind that the universe is made of, this creation energy called Then we go on to say Tehuti was let's see, Tehuti was copied by monotheistic religions, and he became known as Melchizedek to the Hebrews, the angel Michael to the Christians, and El Khidr to the Muslims. Okay. Tehuti is the heart of Ra'e, aka Ashak. So he represented Ashak, love itself, which is the mental energies of creation, which signified that he was the source of the power of love. So Tehuti represented that. Tehuti is the judge between the battle of Har and Sutuk, aka our higher self versus our lower self. So people hear about in our ancient culture of ancient Kemet that Horus fought Set or Har, his name is Har, and Set we would identify as Sutuk, right? Now that was a principle in our culture. Now, for you guys to see that, there's an image that shows you that our ancestors had set up. If I can find that for you, let's see, where was I? I'm at page 158 here, and then let me go to page 561. Let's see, 561. Go here. Okay, so now you're looking at, this is the image of Har and Sutuk, representing the same mental energies, right? It actually represented, Har represented your higher nature, and Sutuk represented your lower nature. And this is how our ancestors identified it, so you guys can see what this composite is. And I'm reading from, this is a book that was written back in the early 1900s, 1903. I think this book was published, called The Gods of the Egyptians, written by one of the famous Egyptologists, as well as Budge. And he put this particular book out. But let me go back to where I'm at so you guys can see that. Now, Tehuti in modern times would be considered dark energy, aka and dark matter, also known as Noon to our ancestors, which represent the number 9, or what we call aka 9 ether, which means that when he woke from slumber, aka the Big Bang, spoke the first word. So in our creation story, when it talks about the Tehuti, he was one of our created deities, or Natharu in ancient Kemet. He was a created deity, and he spoke the first word. Okay, and so we're saying in today's culture, that would be what scientists would call the first tone of creation. They call it the Big Bang, and from that you get what they have is dark energy and dark matter. Right. So if you look at, let me see if I can bring this up for you guys. So if you look at basically the universe itself is made up of primarily dark energy, the blackness of space. And then they say like 21% of it is dark matter, and only 4% of the universe is visible light, which is the suns that we see throughout the balanced multiverse or balanced universe that we're looking at, right? So what scientists have realized and identified is the universe itself is of this dark energy, a dark matter, and in that or how can I say, when the universe came into existence, it represented a tone. Now, again, the scientists today would say that's the Big Bang, and our ancestors identify that with Tehuti. He represented the spoken word of creation. And to the Muslims, we called it kun in our language. Kun was just the tone, and which gave birth to what we call the Khamino. So from Tehuti, you give birth to the Khamino, which represented the 8. And they represented 4 principles in our culture. And those 4 principles of the first created ancestors who came into existence. Camino also translate to the Greeks. They call them the Ogdog, and I'll show you some images of them. But they represented darkness, obscurity, secret, and eternity. In our language, or in our culture, we called it Noon and Nunet. And Noon Nunet represented the obscurity, I believe they considered, or eternity. I got to look that up. I'm sorry. You have hat and he hat, kek and kikat. And now ket and kikat was darkness. Amun Amenet was secret, right? So probably ket and kikat was eternity. No, het and he had eternity, and Nunanet would be obscurity. So these are the principles of the forces of creation. Okay, and like I said, we called it Chamunu, and that was taught in the ancient city in Kemet, which was called the Greeks called it Hermopolis for their deity. They changed the name to Hermes, and we called it Chaminu. Right, so that was the name of our the town where this was taught by our ancestors. Now, Tehuti is the master of words of power, right? AKA the spoken word, AKA the science of language, AKA the word made flesh, AKA the words of creation, which is kun. So he represented that tone, that creation signature of existence. Now, in our language, we identify that in our language is the tone called am. This is where amun, when you look at the word amun, it broke down to, we would either chant am, right? Or we would chant om. And this is where the Hindus get om from. That's an actual Egyptian principle, om, that people always hear the Hindus teach. And it comes from amun, okay? Because all they did was,
7:45 p.m.
when you look at the word amun, all you take is the A and the M, right? You take the A and the M. Now, in our language, the vowels were always interchangeable. So it could be a ah, or it could be a oo, or it could be a o, or it could be a e in our language, because vowels are always interchangeable. Okay, when you learn a lot of African languages, in particular, the languages that were spoken, like Sabaic was one of those languages where the vowels were always interchangeable. Ancient Kemet, our language in Kemet, the vowels are always interchangeable. That's why when we wrote in consonants without the vowels. And those who knew the word, they was able to add in the vowels. So for those who don't know, the word om comes from amun, right? And this is where you get the word also men. And I said from men, you got the word English word called mind. And men was another one of our principles of creation, one of our deities in ancient Kemet. So now, if you go to, we talk about this in one of our books. And just for those who do not know, the master teacher wrote a book on this subject matter called The Wisdom of Tehuti, or Tehuti, if I can find it for you guys. I don't see it. I would have swore I had it. And I wanted to show you guys the cover of that particular book. Hold on. Let me see if I have it over here. I don't see it. Hopefully next time I can get that for you guys. But we have a whole book which focuses on this teachings, which is the wisdom of Tehuti. It's where I get the information from, in actuality. Then also, this information was in this book I told you, The Gods of Egypt, or by the Egyptology. This, and like I said, this guy goes back to this book right here, where it gets into teaching about Tehuti. He does a lot of research on this subject matter that our ancestors taught us. So on page 408, let's see, page 408. Let's see. Let's see. Here. If I can find it. 408. Okay. Okay, so right here is where it talks about it's a whole section in this particular book that's dedicated to talking about Tehuti, and the principles that he stood for in our culture and what our ancestors identified him with. And I think some stuff you guys would be interested in knowing. So if I can find it, I will address it for you guys. Let me see. Let's see. In every legend in which thought takes a prominent part, we see that it is he who speaks the word that results in the wishes of Urae being carried into effect. So he represented the spoken word. So this is what he's translating about what the Tehuti represented. He represented the spoken word. And then it's evident that when he had once given the word of command, that command could not fail to be carried out by one means or the other. He spoke the words which resulted in the creation of the heavens and the earth. So that's what I mean there. He represented the spoken word, right? He taught Aset the words, they say Isis, but her name is Aset, the words which enabled her to vivify the dead body of Asar in such wise that Asar could beget a child by her. And he gave her the formula which brought back her son Horus to life after he had been stung to death by a scorpion. His knowledge and powers of calculation measured out the heavens and planned the earth and everything which is in them. His will and power kept the forces in heaven and in earth in equilibrium. It was his great skill in celestial mathematics which made proper use of the laws of Ma'at. So he was a personification of the laws of Ma'at. Let's see. It was he who directed the motions of the heavenly bodies and their times and seasons. And without his words, the gods or Natharu, whose existence depended upon them, could not have kept their place among the followers of Ra'e. He was the scribe of the Natharu. He possessed almost unlimited power in the underworld. The Nathar Asar was in many ways wholly dependent upon his good office, and the ordinary mortals sought his words and help with great earnestness. In the judgment scene in the book, they call it the Book of the Dead, but it's really called the book coming forth by day. Let's see. It is Thought who act the part of the recording angel. So he was identified as the recorder. And it is his decision, which is accepted by the Nathar, who ratified the same and reported it to Asar. For when once Tehuti or Thought said that the soul of the deceased had been weighed and that it had been found true by the trial in the great balance, and that there was no wickedness whatsoever in it, the Nathar could not fail to answer, that which cometh forth from thy mouth is true, and the deceased is holy and righteous. So it was the wisdom of Tehuti which allowed somebody to transition from a level of existence on the physical world to the realm of the of the Nathar. And that means this is a person who lived righteously, right? They lived in harmony with nature. That's what Nathar represented. He represented our mind, our mentality. You with me on that? He represented our mind and our mentality. So that's what these principles are trying to say. Someone who was righteous, they was able to go from this world to the next, because it goes on to say, and in consequence, they straight away award him a place with Asar in the Sekhet, Hitepu, or the Elysian Fields. And this is where we get the word. Now, Elysian Fields is something that the Greeks had coined, right? That's a Greek terminology that they get from Ilion or Ilion. Now, the Muslims picked it up in the Quran called Ilion, which is the place on high. And that's something we taught, that where the Tehuti comes from. He comes from Ilion, which is a parallel galaxy to this galaxy. It's one of the things we taught, and our ancestors were trying to get to what we call Ilion. This was the goal. And to get there, you went through Sahu or the Orion star constellation. That's why in the Bible, in the New Testament, when they talk about heaven, the word they translate for heaven, the Greeks wrote Orion, which is a star constellation that our ancestors were trying to get their souls because the goal was not to reincarnate. So the goal was to raise up, to go to the higher realm. Now we're going to get into that next week when we talk about resurrection. Okay, because our whole culture in Kemet was about resurrection. That was a whole doctrine that we always taught. Let's see. Is there any questions? Teaching of Yanun brought me here. Okay. Well back. Let's see. I heard about Dr. Son for sure teaching about Yanun. I wonder if it's the same as Wu-Sabat. Yes, it is the same as Wu-Sabat. Yanunism is Wu-Sabat. Was referring to the brother's teaching. Yeah. So just to answer that question for the brother in the chat room. But so I'm just trying to give you guys some insights about all the principles that Tehuti represented to our ancestors. It's very important to know that. Okay. So let's keep going, because we got a lot to get through. Now, so here's the deal. This is why we say the word NoopooH, right? Now, because he represented the tone, okay, the frequencies of creation. So when you use the word NoopooH, because the spoken word of creation creates a wave pattern. So when nature creates, it's just a harmonic tones. It creates a wave pattern. This is something that the scientific community have authenticated. Tone, sounds, creates a wave pattern, and that's where to get the letter. When our ancestors wrote the word nu, and nu in our ancient the metaneta, this is what it looked like. The word nu. It was a wave pattern, right? And that was the letter N. So when you say nu and you say poo, this suffix that represents expansion. Poo represented pa'ut, which is all expanding. And this is something that let's go back to the book, The Gods of Egypt. Now, if you go to page 134, and this book, remind you, this book was written in 1903. I repeat, it was written in 1903. Okay. Now, if you look at it, he breaks it down. You see right here, Nu, and look above. Nu, you have the waters, and then you have what they call the three Nu bowls, and that represented the waters of Nu, the creation forces. And so it was a wave pattern. And right next to you have Pooh. Now, let me just say this for the record. I'm not a fan of his First of all, I'm not a fan of any of the Caucasians trying to translate our language. I repeat, I'm not a fan of any of the Caucasians trying to translate our language. You hear me? Because they're horrible at it. And you cannot really trust them on a lot of things. But this part, I will say this part is right. Are you with me? So everyone knows that the waters are new. Now, the reason why we wrote it right that, and the letter N itself is a wave pattern. Question: where are the Natharu now? Are they in a craft? Are they on a planet here on Earth or any other planet? Are they in another dimension? Are they in a physical form? Okay, that's a lot. The Natharu, they exist on higher dimensions. I repeat, the Natharu, yes, they're here, but they exist on higher dimensions. And the master is a Nathar. He's an incarnated one. Okay. And we're gonna deal with a lot of that, like I said, next when we talk about resurrection. Our whole culture in Africa was about incarnations. All of the rulers, the pharaohs, were all considered incarnations. I repeat, all of the Egyptian pharaohs were all incarnations. That was the whole goal. When you became a pharaoh, that was one of the goals. We had two running cultures in Kemet. Those who are part trying to become Horus, which were the priests, the priesthood in ancient Kemet. Everyone was trying to become Horus, which was a resurrected one, right? And then you had the people who followed Asar. Majority of the people would follow the cult of Asar. And what that was they were trying to resurrect when they physically die. And this is the whole discussion all to itself. Okay. But let me go on. So, but I just want you guys to see that where we get the letter N, the English letter N is an Egyptian symbol. I repeat, the English letter N is an Egyptian symbol. So you see it right here. You have Nu and then you have Pu, right? Then you have below here, it says the company. You have the word Pa'ut. So I'm just showing you in the hieroglyphs. This is where we're getting these terminologies from. These are terminologies that our ancestors used. Okay. So when we say Pa'ut, you see it right here in the hieroglyphs where my cursor is. Okay. And then you have Nu above right here, and you have Pu. Okay. Just so you know, we didn't make this stuff up. So let me go back. Let me go back over here. But another question. So our people in the so-called conscious community are teaching about chaos science from Bobby Hemmett. How does that relate to our upliftment? That has nothing to do. That has nothing to do with us, man. I mean, okay, that our people taught a lot of stuff, right? That chaos crap is taught by the Luciferians. Let me just say that right now. All that chaos stuff is taught by the Luciferians. That's not our doctrine. That's taught by the Luciferians. That's a Luciferian spiritual science. I repeat, that's the Luciferian spiritual science. That's six ether knowledge and doctrine. You had a lot of Africans who practiced that stuff. I repeat, you had a lot of Africans who practiced that stuff. A lot of our people, and a lot of the cultures on the continent are following Hindu culture. I repeat, a lot of the cultures on the continent are following Hindu practices, where a lot of people thinking it's African culture and it's Hinduism. Okay, and it's ancient and it's thousands of years old. And it's not the original culture. The original culture, I'm teaching you guys what the original culture is. It's NoopooH, Noon, deals with the science of existence and the creative forces of existence, which is Noon or Nu. That's what I'm showing you guys. And I'm showing you in the hieroglyph where we get the word Nu from. It's a wave pattern. Okay. In fact, let me show you this. We put this out in this particular book. We put this book out called The Proof. Okay. Actual Facts number 108. It's called The Proof by Panabab Yanun. Now, look at this. This is on page 68. Okay. The wave pattern. This is the wave pattern. It's a sound wave. Okay. And this is where we get the symbol of the N symbol that represented the waters of Nu, or again, I said before, dark energy and dark matter. When the universe when it starts to create it starts to germinate life. It creates this wave pattern, right? and it creates what is known as a supermassive black hole. And from that creates your first alpha star. I repeat, the universe came into birth by a supermassive black hole. And from that supermassive black hole, it created what is known as an alpha star. Look up an alpha star, alpha star, alpha star. Okay. Alpha stars. Let's go here. Alpha star. Let's see. Wikipedia. What's this? Alpha star computer program? No, that's not it. Alpha star. I have to look it up because it's not coming what I want it to come, because now they call it artificial intelligence. No, it's a gigantic star, but I will have to look it up so you guys can see. There's these massive stars, and these alpha stars, are near black holes. These massive alpha stars are near black holes. Hopefully next week I can show it to you guys, because I need more time to research it, and I can get it to you. All right. And so what I'm trying to say is that creation, right, creates a wave pattern, and this is noon. And our ancestors, we come from these creative energies. All African people, we come from these creative energies. Okay, we're the first ones. But what question? Can it be simple and just us? How we just ascend to the next level? I got the point you make, to live right, but is it more to it than that? It's spiritual practices. That's what it is. You have to develop yourself spiritually. Okay, and we're gonna get into that. So let me keep going, because we're gonna get into. I see this is more of a history class than we know. The Caucasian distorted. Okay, so let me get back into trying to go on what I'm saying. You guys got to get this. Where we get NoopooH from? I was showing you where we get that word from. All right. So poo, and reason I say poo, because poo is all poo. The end of that, the suffix, it means all expanding. Let me show you that. We put that out in a book. We put out a book. The master teacher put out a book called The Beginning Book. This book right here, we put this out called The Beginning. Okay, The Beginning. Now, in this book right here, he talks about it right here. It says, you find the word pizon, meaning increase, from push. This is push, meaning spread, scatter, spring about, right? This word pizon is push. So that's push is poo. Push is poo. You got that? It means to spread. All right. Plus on the Egyptian deity On. It was talking about the creation forces. That's what he was explaining here. And he was comparing it to the Bible. So which is another Egyptian god in the Bible, what the Bible call On, or they call him Anu. However, Pizon is a name for the White Nile, which is found in Egypt. If you go to Genesis chapter 2, verse 13, you will see the name Gihon, right? And that word means bursting forth. And bursting forth, that means the energy, That's what the creation did. It burst forth in the beginning. That's what the scientists call the Big Bang. All right. And so that's where we get the word NoopooH from. New, the waters of new, expansion, exploded. And it was a massive tone, kun, right? Om, this tone, and this tone, and it created again, like I said, a supermassive black hole, and then from that was created the first mega star, this alpha star, and from that first alpha star, that's how the universe grew. And that's the whole watch our lectures we did on the African science of existence. We did a 4-part series. So I tell you guys to definitely rewatch that. Now let's keep going. So when a universe is not in harmony with noon, it creates a distortion wave pattern, which which we identified as Zoop. So, right? So we talked about this before, guys. Let me go back to this so you guys can see this. Let's see. So let's see. Go here. So go back to the SMAT. So you have NoopooH, and ZooPoo. Now, when the universe goes out of NoopooH, when the cycles change, it goes to what we call Amun. This is why our ancestors called it the hidden one, the secret one, the energy change. In order to tap back in to the energy change, you had to, in order to tap back into non-ether forces. This is why we had to do certain spiritual works, okay? And because we was now in the realm of ZooPoo. So in order for our ancestors, because when we was in the realm of NoopooH, the universe itself was life-giving. It was full of life. There was no death, okay? When the universe went into the realm of ZooPoo, the energy pattern changed. And so our ancestors had to do certain things to maintain their energy. So it goes out here. But the wisdom of Tehuti taught us that when you put the two symbols, Noop and Zoop, together, right, aka the letter N and the letter Z together, it creates a four-sided pyramid. Actually, if you put those two letters together, it creates a box or an X in the center of a box, and it creates a pyramid if you turn it 3D. I wish I had somebody actually did it on YouTube and showed it, but I don't know, where that is. Somebody did it. But when you take the letter N and you take the letter Z and you put them together, it creates a pyramid. Now, our ancestors created pyramids to maintain our energy, because when we got into the cycles of ZooPoo, the energies were weaker. There were 60 the energies from the sun. And so in order to maintain our power and strength, we created those pyramids to harness our energies, what we call radiant energy. But let me keep going. So it goes on to say, well, what is the purpose of a pyramid? Pyramids are used to harness radiant energy from the sun, which charge our melanin as children of the sun, so that we could connect with our ancestors who lived on higher dimensions. Now, we put out a book called the uplift book. Okay. We put out a book called the uplift book, and this was a book about the pyramid. Because we for all those we created a pyramid on our land that the disagreeable one, they took it from us. This pyramid right here in the middle, we created this on our land when they took it. The Caucasian took this from us, and we had a whole ritual on how to develop your energies when you encircle the pyramid. It says, why did I build the pyramid, right? Why did I build the pyramid? This is the master talking. He says, El Merat, right? The pyramids were built for the purpose of making a connection with our elders, the ancient ones, the Natharu. So this is why he built the pyramid. It is basically to help you make connection. He said, what exactly are the pyramids? What most people don't know is that the pyramid is an electromagnetic antenna that creates standing column waves to prevent the earth wobble, or to prevent the wobble of the earth after the destruction of Atlantis. This is why our ancestors built the pyramid. Okay. Then he goes on to say the pyramid was also a tool to help humans advance into a higher state of consciousness. Around everybody, there is a TP hip, or what they call an aura, is around your body, which is an electromagnetic field, right? Your body has an electromagnetic field. Now, the human electromagnetic field on Earth today is emitting a negative charge, and you have to reverse your polarity to a positive charge. Once you reverse your polarity to a positive charge, then you'll be able to communicate interdimensionally, right? So, you have more questions? Let's see. What's the history? Okay, I know that is so-called black magic. No, black magic. Let me answer that. Black magic is our magic. That's not chaos magic. Is not black magic. Chaos magic is white magic. Black magic is NoopooH. I repeat, black magic is NoopooH, guys. Stop listening to the Mukasu and false people out there. They don't know what they're talking about. Black magic is our magic from black people. The white man said black magic was bad because it was what we were teaching. He turned everything black bad. You hear me? They practice white magic. All that stuff that comes from the Caucasian is white magic because it comes from white people. Keep that in mind. Who or what is he, Hika, and Sia, companions of Re, being the personification of shapes, forms of magic. Who is the creative word, the spoken word? Hika. Hika is the universe itself. It goes from ether energy, from energy to material. That's called Hika. It's manifestation, right? Hika is, they call it magic. It's the manifestation of creative things from energy into material. And Sia is the ooh, I'm losing my track of thought. Sia is the I have to look that up. I'm losing my track of thought. But I'm sorry for that. But let me keep going where I was going with this. So remember, when you put the letter N and Z together, it creates a pyramid. That's why I'm on the subject matter. And that comes from Noop and Zoop. Okay, those two symbols, the letter N and the letter Z, when you put them together, it creates a pyramid. Okay, and that's why I'm talking about the pyramids. Our ancestors had to create pyramids when we went into the cycle of Zupu. Okay, when we was out of the cycles of Nupu and into the cycle of Zupu, we had to do things to harness energy. Okay, so let's keep going. Now, if we study the Sands tribe of South Africa, we can clearly see our connection to them in culture and origins, who were identified as the Patai, so the Fahites, aka the children of Fa, who was a creator Nathar in ancient Kemet, or what we call Magmat. Now, if you refer to the Shabaka stone, which teach the Memphite theology, that Fa created all by way of his heart, aka mind, and his tongue, aka the tone. So we also taught that Fa was a creator deity, right? And he created by way of the heart, which is the Ashak, or his mind. That related to the mind and the spoken word, the tones of creation. Like I said, that wave pattern of noon. Okay, so this is where the Caucasians talk about the Big Bang. So again, this is what our ancestors was teaching, this high sciences. Now, the Fahites, aka the Sands, were the rulers of pre-dynastic Egypt. I repeat, the Fahites, aka the Sands, were the rulers of pre-dynastic Egypt. The Fahites would call on the Nathar Khanum, who was the keeper of time, who was connected to Tehuti, who was the recorder of time. Okay, so the Fahites were in tone with the deity Khanum. And so the Nathar Khanum was also the creator of humans, who they also identified with the supreme creator, aka the God of the rainbow, who they called on to this very day to go out of body and make a spiritual connection with ancestors who live on higher dimensions. So I showed you guys that before, and I'm gonna show you that again, because you guys gotta know this inside and out, how the Sands tribe, how they make contact with with our ancestors. Okay, now and the word they used was noom. All of this is connected. Noom, Nupu, Kun, Amun, all of that is connected. Listen.
South Africa. Here, the native San Bushmen hold elaborate fireside rituals lasting for hours into the night. During these ceremonies, their shamans perform what's known as a trance dance, through which they reach an altered state of being and access other dimensions. The trance dance is thought to activate an energy in their body called noon. And this energy opens a portal of sorts that enables them to travel into the spirit world.
And when the Bushmen activate this energy, they're able to put their hands in the fire without being burned. They can see vast distances, and it's as if in every way, shape, and form, they're transformed into super powerful beings.
By accessing the power of Noom energy, it is believed that a shaman who can extract illness, see the insides of the sick, and travel out of their own body to the land of the gods.
This number goes up the body, and then often it goes out of the crown of the head, and that's usually when the out-of-body experience occurs, and they travel to the spirit world. I've seen a bushman put a coal in his mouth and he wasn't burnt. They put their heads in the fire, and although their hair might singe and even catch fire, their face won't be burnt. So something is happening with this Num energy. They call it boiling energy. It's almost like there's a vibrational change in the whole body and probably in their DNA in some way.
Could the so-called Noom energy really be inherent in shamans, accessed only while in a sort of dream state? And is it possible that the genetic makeup of these medicine men is what allows them to access other dimensions?
The San Bush people have a tradition that they are the first tribe ever created. They're the oldest people in the world. DNA tests have shown that they probably are, that all other cultures and all other peoples that spread throughout the world came originally from where the San people are now.
When we look at the San Bushmen and we see the clear genetic evidence that they are the primordial seed of human civilization and life on Earth, it is possible that their DNA is especially well equipped to have this potential to access these non-ordinary states of consciousness, which may in fact be a key to physically journeying into them, giving these people the ability to do things that most of us seemingly cannot.
Okay, so now you guys see that? I play that again because you guys got to know these abilities that they're showing that the San can do, we can do. It's in all of us as Africans. Okay, this is what the master teacher has been teaching for years, that we have these abilities within ourselves. All right. And it's not just the San that's doing it in Africa. It's our ancestors throughout the continent have these abilities. This is one of the things that we talk about is the master teacher's great grandfather, the Mahdi Muhammad Ahmed. He's from the Sudan in the 1800s. He was a spiritual master and he had these abilities. Okay, this is widely taught throughout the continent, but this was sacred knowledge that we forgot as a people because we knew this as a race. Now this was only being taught in certain mystery cultures on in our culture. You with me? Question. All right, so let me see. Okay, how do we build our energy now? Meditation, positive thoughts, etc. I got that. What do we do now? Just pray to our ancestors and live right. Okay, yeah, it's a little bit more involved. All right, there is a certain set of rituals, and we're gonna get into that. Okay, because I can't explain that in one setting. I'm just trying to I have to introduce you to one. This is a reality. You can do it. It's in your ability. Right. This is a process. This is not something you're gonna learn overnight. You're talking to someone like myself who's been doing this for 30 some odd years. It's not simple. Now, because I've trial and error, you guys won't take nowhere near that amount of time if you follow what I'm saying. Because my job is to direct you and to help you comprehend what the master teacher is teaching, what books you need to study, right? And how the master teacher has taught us to do these things. Okay. It's just about being focused. And we're going to get into that. We're going to get into focus. We're going to get into meditation. We're going to touch on all of these subject matters, guys. Let's keep going. Question. How do we block our daily distractions and keep our focus on Wu-Sabat in our daily lives? That's an excellent question. Yes, because we're surrounded by negativity. I repeat, we're surrounded by negativity. Demons are plaguing the earth. Read Revelations chapter 18. Demons are plaguing the earth. Spirit demons are everywhere. So yes, it is very difficult. This is one of the reasons why we said we needed our own community so that we can begin to block these forces, because it's very difficult for all of us, myself included. Okay, but we're going to get into that. We're going to get into how do you develop what is known as your psychic self-defense. How do you develop what is known as your psychic self-defense? The prayer system is very important. This is why the prayer system basically is really supposed to be done 4 times a day: 9 a.m., 3 p.m., 9 p.m., and 3 a.m. for those who are able to get up. It's basically conditioning the body. Actually, when you're doing the prayer system, you're actually recalibrating your DNA, and we're gonna get into that. But let me keep going, because Thomas, let me see what else you got. Yes, Hanum and Far were both creative deities. Question: can Hanum also be the shaper of realities or worlds, attributes with divine mind? Yes, that's true. He can. He is. But I have to explain that further. But let's keep going. Especially in a book called Your Potential. Yes. Are the Sand people the original Orisha? Okay. The Sand people are the descendants of the original Orisha. Let me keep going on where I'm going with this. Okay, guys? Very important. All right. So now when we study the language, now look at this. When we study the language of the Sand, who are the first peoples, we can clearly hear how they speak our original tones that would wake the dormant DNA that will restore our divine mind, aka the wisdom of the Tehuti, right? Aka our Mafkuzet. Now, if you refer to the book we put out, The Master Secrets, number 5, it's called the Secret Tones. Let me see if I can pull that up. We put this book out called the Mafkuzet right here. The Mafkuzet, Master Secrets, number 5, the Mafkuzet. Now, the goal is our bodies are vibrating out of harmony. The reason why we do the rituals, because you got to get your body to vibrate back on the A tone. This is our goal. Okay. The goal is to get your body vibrating back on the A tone. And this is why you have to learn the language we're teaching, Wu-Sabat, Miss Batia. You have to learn your language, Miss Batia. English is killing us. Okay. It's what our bodies are vibrating on that's taking us out of harmony with nature. Once you get your body back in alignment with the A tone, that's why we chanted Amun. That's why we chanted that. It actually calibrates your DNA. Okay, these are rituals you're supposed to do every day. And once you are able to tap back into the A tone, then you'll be able to tap into the F tone. The F tone is the frequency of the planet. That's how we was in tune with the forces of the forces on the planet and the energies on the planet. We was in tune with all the species on Earth. Okay. And then we was in tune to C tone as the universe. That's how we was able to communicate interdimensionally. Once we the key is chanting. We had certain chanting rituals, right? And so what else? Let me see what else I'm gonna show you. All of this is important, but let me go back. Okay. So now there's an article about the sands of South. Let's see. Article about the sands, African sands language are going extinct. Okay. So hold on. Let me show you this article right here. Where is that at? If I can find it right here. Check this out. This is about this. There's many different types of sands language, right? And one of them was going extinct. They was talking about this language. But the reason why I wanted to bring this up in this article, and it's talking about this now. Chiefs in South Africa, they were forbidden to speak the language. Remember, the Mukaso, that was the first thing they took from us is our language during slavery. They forbid us to speak our language because words have power. They understood, the Mukaso understood the science of tones. language frequencies. There's powers in our language. You're with me? So now when you go into this, this is what this article says. I cut out a section here. It says, they are the only students of Nuju. This is the name of the language is Nuju. Yeah, I don't even know if I'm enunciating it right, but see that tone again? The noon tone. Okay, so this is an article. They are the only students of Nuju in the world learning a language with 114 distinct sounds, including 45 clicks, 39 click consonants, and 39 vowels. To place this in context, English, Russian, and Chinese have about 50 sounds. So their language has 114 distinct sounds. If you're speaking a language with 114 distinct sounds, your body is going to vibrate a whole lot different. The Caucasian have us speaking a dead language, guys. And I want you to listen. I brought up some videos about how I'm listening to how some of the Sands speak, the tones that they're making. Okay, I want you to hear this. Very important. Listen to this.
There are 11 languages spoken within Southern Africa.
Yes.
And you're Xhosa.
Yes.
You speak Xhosa, the wonderful clicking.
Clicking.
How many clicks are there in your language?
There is 5 clicks in my language. Xhosa language.
Do them for me. I like that. What's that? Now, I've heard that there is one expression that is very difficult to say in your language. Something about a skunk. The skunk rolls in the grass and breaks his windpipe.
That is a very difficult thing to say it in Xhosa about the skunk. But in Xhosa, it goes this way. That is
Xhosa society reads like a who's who of South African pop.
I'm gonna be doing tongue twisters in Swana, and she thinks I don't know Xhosa, but guys, I'm a one-learner guy.
Saying Xhosa, you've already lost. So
I'm already lost. It's not about the pronunciation.
It is
girl.
the pronunciation.
All right, boo. Let's see about that. You go first.
Okay.
It's 2020. Women first.
Okay. No, I think you should start first.
Why should I start first?
Start.
Okay. Motivate your answer.
Guys, when you please start? Like I always start.
Motivate your
Okay,
answer.
you know what? Okay, whatever. This
So
one,
defeated.
like I already mentioned it in the previous video.
Okay.
You have to say it fast.
The guy. Guy.
It's going to be a long video. Okay, let me do it.
Dikhele
Ukheba. Ikheko. Inkai. Dikhele. Ukheba. Ikheko. Inkai.
Right.
Inkai. Zero.
Hi, give me 0, man.
Zero.
Give me 0, man. It's my turn now. All right, let's see if you're gonna get it. You're gonna get it. Tiro tse di thata thoro mothotobolo e thata thata kwa go thibang go thibela.
Can I read it?
Okay, I didn't read it. Tiro tse di thata.
Tiro tse di thata.
Thoro mothotobolo.
What does that even mean? Tiro tse di thata thoro mothotobolo.
E thata thata kwa go thibang go thibela.
E thata thata ha go thiba motho. Okay, like I'm forgetting, but like it's easier. Okay, I'm forgetting.
Let's take it step by step.
Okay.
Tiro tse di thata.
Tiro tse di thata.
Thoro mothotobolo.
Thoro mothotobolo.
E thata thata.
E thata thata.
Kwa go thibang go thibile.
Kwa go thibang go thibile. So dira what?
tiro tse di thata.
Okay, tiro tse di thata thoro mora thotobolo e thata thata kwa go thibang go thibile. What does that even mean? What does that even mean? My Tana is good.
No,
Okay, let me read it.
it's
Guys.
not good. It's not good. It's not good
My
at all.
Tana is amazing.
Okay, all right, let's go again.
What's tiro? Because I even thought it's tiro.
Tiro.
What's that?
Tiro. Simple, just read it. It's a tongue twister.
Tiro tse di thata thoro mo thotobolo e thata thata kwa go thibang go thibile. Hallelujah.
Okay. Okay.
That was the you have how much do you give me?
Nah, half.
5 out of 10.
Nope.
Okay.
You get it.
Iqaqa liziqaqaqa kuqaqaqa lide liqhawuke uqhoqhoqo.
Yeah. Hey, hey.
Iqaqa liziqaqaqa kuqaqaqa lide liqhawuke uqhoqhoqo.
Ah, guys, I'll see for you.
I'm not looking, this is my language. These are the
Okay, so you guys can hear that. The click, the tones. Our people, when we spoke with tones, vibration. It created vibrations in our bodies, created energies in our bodies that we learn to harness those energies. And that's what opened up what we call your arusha or your chakras, right? You open up your chakras, and that's how you open up your third eye. If you say those in certain ritualistic ways and certain chants. This is a process of like if you was able to commit yourself for 90 days, doing rituals for 90 days, eating right. That's coming off the flesh, right? Coming off the flesh. There's certain things we're doing culturally in the West that has disconnected us. And so this is one of the reasons why we have to come out of speaking English, right? This is one of the elders. You guys should be familiar with which is Credo Mutwa. He's from South Africa. He's married to a Twa, right? One of the our ancestors, the Twa. Now look at the symbol, the ankh that he's wearing, this big old ankh that he's in. Now he said he found this ankh in the caves in South Africa. He said it's ancient. He said he found this ankh in South Africa because the pre-dynastic Egyptians were the Sans tribe. I repeat, the pre-dynastic Egyptians were the Sans tribe. Let's keep going. Now, he goes on to say, we here in the West speak English, right? Which is a dead language. And negative language with trick words and no tones that will not raise your vibration, which will realign your body with nature. So as long as we continue to speak European languages, there's no way you can raise your vibration with dead tones. And not to mention, English is a trick language. Now check this out. Look at these trick words in English. Recreation to recreation. Right? Recreation to recreation. Hello, hell is low. Success to suck you into a cesspool. Success. Congress. Con means to go against. Progress. That's why nothing happens for us in their politics. Congress, to go against. Love. You turn the word love around, you get the word evil. God. You turn the word God around, you get dog. Man's best friend, dog. Good morning. What's good about mourning? When people mourning at funerals, there's nothing good about that. Kid, you know what the word kid, you call yourself your children kid, right? Kid is another name for goat. Check this out. When you look up the word kid on Wikipedia, or not Wikipedia, just look it up on the internet. And let's see, because I typed it up. And look at it. Look what they show you. You got the word kid, and below it is goat. Now, why is that significant? I'm gonna tell you why it's significant. Because when you look up goat, what do you come up with? This right here, Baphomet, the goat. This is the Luciferian, the god that they worship. And look what they have, the Baphomet with 2 children there. This is the symbol of the Luciferians, the disagreeable ones. And they got us calling out children kids, which is servants of the goat, the god, the goat god, the sixth ether, Leviathan. This is the trick in English, right? They got the word conscious. Conscious means to go against, conscious, science, to mean no, to go against knowledge. Conscious means to go against knowledge. And then you teach your children how to spell, to cast spells. That's what English is doing. It casts spells on our mind and it reduces our intelligence level. English is a cipher, some say created by Francis Bacon, the Freemason, aka a warlock of King James. Guys, look up Francis Bacon. Look up Francis Bacon. He was one of the wizards of King James. This is Francis Bacon. Supposedly, he was the one who put the English language together. Because prior to like Francis Bacon was living in the 1500s, 1600s. At that time, guys, no, English is a Germanic language. There was no unified language in England at the time. They spoke all kinds of dialects. Francis Bacon, they said he formulated the English language as we know it today under Francis Bacon. And it was the same thing with French. These languages were created and they were all Freemasons who set this language up. And they all Freemasons are Luciferians. The ones who, not all Freemasons, but the ones who have been initiated into the Illuminati. Okay. English is a cipher. Y'all can look it up. Okay. Very important. Let's keep going. So we have the wisdom of Tehuti is how we learn to live by the rules of natural nature. Remember, Tehuti represent the mind, our higher mind, our higher consciousness. Once you're in tune with your higher consciousness, then you learn how to live in harmony with Ma'at, according to the principles of Ma'at. When you study the wisdom of Tehuti, we first learn that all, aka Pa'ut, is mental. Then we learn that we must learn to live based on the rules of natural nature as recorded in the so-called Kabbalah, or the Kabbalion, they say, stolen by the Luciferians. Now, the Kabbalion teach about certain principles in natural nature. The master teacher, he corrected that book, by the way, the wisdom of Tehuti, and you learn about certain principles in nature. Nine in particular, we're going to go over. Okay, guys, if you watch my lecture I did on Ma'at, I introduced 4. In fact, the other week I introduced the 4 principles of nature. The first 4, the preservation of self and kind, right? Then the principle of the opposites. Then I taught you guys the principle of love and peace, or Ashak and Hatat, and then the principle of pain and pleasure. And then I said there's 19 that affects human lives the most. So I taught you 4, and here's another 9. Okay, you have the doctrine of Mentu. The doctrine of Mentu teaches you all is mind and creation is Mentu. So this is important. Number 2, the doctrine of correspondence teaches you as above, so below, which teaches you the spiritual corresponds to the physical and vice versa. This fact of existence is proof that the spiritual world exists once you are able to comprehend this principle. It teaches us the fact that all matter is created of energy, which is what spirit is. Since this is true, then it stands to reason that energy corresponds to matter and matter corresponds to energy. This is how we know the spiritual realms exist, because of the law of correspondence, right? Because matter is created from energy. And so if matter comes from energy, that means matter is able to relate to energy just as much as energy is able to relate to matter. And so when you're talking about spirituality, you're talking about spirit energies, higher energies, and the law of correspondence teaches us how one thing is related to another. The next doctrine is the doctrine of vibration. Everything in nature vibrates. Nothing is still, not even a rock. Once you realize this fact, then you realize that your body vibrates and can go up or down depending on your moods and conditions of your environment, controlled by your mind or external forces if you are unaware of this natural ability. So this is one of the challenges. What, like the question was asked, well, how do you stay in a positive mind, right? What happens is you have to learn whatever your vibration. When you're feeling happy and you're feeling good and you're feeling positive, that's a vibration, a frequency. When you're feeling sad and you're upset, that's a vibration and a frequency. You have to learn to maintain the vibration of a positive mind. You have to learn to lock that tone in, regardless of external forces that try to take you out of that frequency, out of that harmony. This is how you begin to build your psychic self-defense, by controlling and protecting your vibration. Okay. The next principle is the doctrine of polarity. All things created within nature has a polarity, such as hot versus cold, soft versus hard, positive versus negative, which you must realize within. If one is to master self, then they must become aware of their own changing polarity based on their mood swings, and learn to put oneself in a state of balance, aka ma'at. So, like for instance, you have a polarity when you're happy, that's a polarity. When you're sad, that's another polarity. Those are changing energies, changing vibrations. You have to know how to control your own polarity rather than allowing events to change your polarity, because that's what happens in this culture. That's what the entertainment industry is all about. The entertainment industry is about influencing your polarity, your mood swings. Movies do that to us. You can watch a movie, a comedy, and you're laughing. That's a polarity. It affected you. You can watch another movie, a scary movie, and you become frightened. It affects your polarity. You can watch another movie about adventure. You become, almost like adventurous. You feel motivated by it. Movies affect your polarity. That's why they call it movies, to move you and me. But we have to stop allowing society to do that. You have to take control of your mind. This is what the wisdom of Tehuti is all about. You be the control of your energies. Stop allowing external forces to influence you. The next thing you have to learn, the doctrine of rhythm. Rhythm teaches you this. Nature is based on cycles, which has a natural rhythm when moving from one cycle to the other. When we were in harmony with natural nature, we knew when one cycle was changing into another. Because of the spell of Leviathan, we have been cut off from our natural nature awareness. So the cycle of, or the doctrine of rhythm, is what allowed us, when something was, rhythm is a flow, an in and out flow. And we was in harmony with these different flows and frequencies and energies, these changing flows. Now, because we're under a spell, we don't know when energies are changing, like how, when it goes from summer to fall to winter to spring again. We was in tune. We didn't need to watch the Weather Channel to know what was going to happen. We was in tune with nature. What is the liquid gold about? Okay, question. What is our relationship to the dolphin species and their clicking tonnage? Okay. Okay, so that was, now the sand, remember, our ancestors, we were aquatic. I repeat, you live on a water planet. The human body is what? 70% water. The human body is what? 70% water. And then this is answering that question. That what is our relationship to the dolphin species and the clicking tonnage of the sands, right? Our ancestors, this is a water planet. Our original, when we lived on this, our original ancestors, the sands, ancient, millions of years ago, they were able to live on land and water. They were amphibian. They were able to live on land and water. They was able to live on the land and the water. And this is why they had tonsils. The human body have tonsils and an appendix that doctors today don't know why those two organs is in the human body. Those organs were in our body because it was a part of our aquatic nature. We don't need those organs no more because we're not in the waters like we used to be. But when we were in the waters, the way we were able to communicate was through the tones. And that's what those echolocations, the master related that to those echo tones that dolphins make, and some whales make those tones. And so that clicking sound is a derivative of that genetic memory. But because we're out of the water, we don't make those same tones anymore. That's why you see there's a difference between our language, Sabatia, right? Sabatia has tones in it, but Sabatia doesn't have the same tones as the San language. Their language is a little bit more advanced with the different tones they're able to make. Okay, and you'll hear that in different African languages. All our language come from one language. The Sans are the original ones. But let me keep going. Oh, another question is, so do the Sans people have their barytheric gland, or are they working off the nerve endings? When you get your barytheric gland, your third eye will open. When you get your barytheric gland, your third eye will open. I can't speak whether or not they have it or not. The master teacher has said some people have it already, others, most don't, but I don't know. I can't say, but I can say that when you have your barytheric gland, your third eye will open. Once you do the rituals, that is. I doubt a lot of the Sans have it because they're in the same boat we're in. You know, their reasonability is shot, which is why they're being ruled in South Africa and all. And they, like us, need right knowledge. We all need right knowledge. We all need right knowledge. And so, in fact, you know what? Hold on. Let me just show this because this is important too. I meant to show you guys this. This is and this is on your topic on the Sans question. The master, he addressed that in this particular book, right? Actual Facts number 46. Actual Facts number 46. I'm gonna read this. He's talking about the Sans tribe. Okay. He's talking about the Sans tribe. It says right here, now look at the San, the name of the first blacks on earth, South Africa, even today called San people. So they were called sheep workers as food by the Anunnaki. Okay, this word San, Tussan, is actually in the Bible as come from the word Lu. Lu means sheep in ancient Sumerian. Lulu Amilu in the Sumerian text. Lu means sheep. And it's also said and flock means Tussan. It's the same word. And when you read Genesis chapter 4, verse 2, it talks about Abel was a keeper of sheep. And that word sheep in the Hebrew language is Tussan, right? Tussan, right here. And this is identified with the Lulu Amilu, or which means sheep. Now, he goes on to say that the Sans people, so they were called sheep workers as food by the Anunnaki, as well as primitive workers, which is Lulu or Amilu workers. And he says, don't believe me, check this out. So the skin coloring and the hair texture is from sun heat genes to protect the new person who came from the water on dry land from mishmash, the physical suns. So he's saying that the Sans people, used to live on water, and then we migrated onto land. This is hundreds of thousands of years ago. And we came from the sun, right? As they roamed the forests of South Africa, once out of the swamps and on the Kalahari Desert from Okavango swamps. Then he says, and all still do in the direct descendants of these original deities, whose posterity is now called the Nagado. We are the children of the sand, right? And he's trying to say they still in the desert. The sand did not live like that originally. Okay, the way they are, remember, they are pre-dynastic Egypt. They had a very high culture, but because of all the invasions They've been moved out of their position of power, and that's why they reverted back into the darn desert and the forest, like the Twas in the forest of Congo. They did not live like that, guys, just so you know that. We had a very advanced culture, very high science, okay? We've been pushed and took out of power. That's what, if you read the book, Destruction of a Black Civilization by Chancellor Williams, he explains how we basically were struggling. And Sands and the Twa are a product of why they're living so bad today. But let's keep going. Now, the Anunnaki, the son of Anu, named Nudimu or Enki was also called Ea, and he who abode is the sea, being he was the son of Nimal, a female draconian, who was a Homo saurian, and he was sent to South Africa to mine the gold for Nibiru, to the Apsu or Apsu. The Lulu Amilu were the workers after the transported Anunnaki refused to work the mines, and Enki, being a sea person, lived with the mermaids and birthed a son and daughter by them. His mother was of Alalu's people. So he lived with the Sands people, who to this day retain the click as they used to speak when underwater, to speak to each other with sonic wave sounds communication underwater. The dolphins and some whales still use this echolocation or sonar today. This spoken click language is called Zo or Koza, I think they say. He refused to let the Sands people or Musnanu be food. It was the Gagan or the Muganu, the garden mantis aliens, who protected them. Okay, Enki decided to make a Lulu Amilu as a Adamu or a Muadamu to work, yet be formed for food, right? So this is where the Adam Project came because what the master was saying is that Enki was trying to protect the Sands who were being attacked or being basically attacked by the Anunnaki, who were reptilians or whatever. But anyway, his brother Enlil, also a son of Anu by a different mother, did not like his plan. So when he took over Apsu in South Africa, Enki moved up the Nile to Magmat, Egypt, took another wife named Hisat of the Hartat or Hathor sisterhood, and birthed a son, Nengis Zidda. This is Tehuti. This is one of the spirit forces of Tehuti. He was known as Nengis Zidda, okay, was of this birth. He was one of the sons of Enki. Let's go on. These are the deities, and by these mixing was 9 species born of them. Mungaro or Nagaro, called the Negroid race in Africa, long before the Adamu or Muadamu, the Adamites, and their 6 species. The sun or Sands or Tussan or sun gene people, the sand people who had the sun genes when the sun reached the skin surface of them. And all African by race, they burn oxygen and turn the skin black or blacker than it already is at birth. This same sun rays will kill the 6 ether white race with cancer or melanoma, skin tumors, and death. Many Nagaru world over now lost their pure sun heat genes by mixing races. Their power was called Namun. See that? Namun. The sun genes or Misnanat by hereditary sun factors of natural nature that are stronger in 9 ether descendants than they are in 6 ether descendants. The Pa Mungaru, the pure ones who are the Nagaru, Negroid, are stronger in 9 ether than they are in 6 ether, even when mixed genes. And these facts account for the 9 species and includes those of 8 ether, 7 ether, and even 6 ether women who mix with 9 ether men. Make note of the first people on Earth or any planet, and you will see the growers of that planet in their flesh and blood composition and form. The two extremes are black and white, generating from the same source. Now, let's go. I'm just curious. Is your third eye open? No, my third eye is not open. I've been trying a long time. I reach very high levels of spirituality, but I haven't gotten to that level yet. And we're going to go into explaining exactly what it means when your third eye is fully open. Everyone's third eye is partially open. I repeat, everyone's third eye is partially open in different degrees. This is why you can get inspiration and intuition and things of that nature. That's coming from your third eye, which is coming from your oversoul. But it's at different levels. You know your third eye is beginning to open as you grow in intelligence now. That's a key, that your third eye is opening greater and greater as you grow in intelligence and reasonability. I repeat, you know your third eye is opening as you grow in intelligence and reasonability. And the only way to do that is through the spiritual practices. That's the only way I was able to even comprehend the doctrine. You know, as I began to do more and more rituals, my ability to comprehend the doctrine grew greater and greater. Okay. Let's see what else you got. Lulu Amlu, primitive worker. They work the gold mines. Yes. And what is the Kundalini serpent that flows through the chakras? That's an energy. That's the energy. We're gonna get into that. Next week we're gonna deal with resurrection. Okay. But listen, let me show you guys this too. We got to realize we come from a very high culture. Okay, that was taken from us. Let me show you this. This is a video that goes into that, and I think it's really important.
Nubian royalty left behind vast amounts of riches, from jewelry and sculpture to pottery and pyramids. It's all on view now in the largest show the Museum of Fine Arts has ever presented. It's fitting because the MFA literally began digging into the ancient culture more than 100 years ago. In 1916, Museum of Fine Arts Egyptologist George Reisner was among the first archaeologists to excavate Kerma, an ancient city located in Nubia, what is now southern Egypt and Sudan. What he discovered was a treasure trove left by Nubians.
What they give us is an early lesson, which is to be agents of ourselves and to realize ourselves through art, culture, politics, through the expressive means.
What Reisner and the MFA team gathered over the next 20 years of excavation became the largest collection of Nubian artifacts outside the region.
He literally invented the method of archaeological documentation. His meticulous photography, 40,000 glass negatives, and thanks to that, we can reconstruct what he did.
Rita Fried is the curator of Ancient Nubia Now, which offers more than 3,000 years worth of Nubian artifacts.
What we're trying to do is to show you just how remarkable these objects are, how sophisticated they are, how advanced the technology was.
Edmund Barry Gaither is the director of the Museum of the National Center of Afro-American Artists, an MFA partner.
When you come to the end, you have an appreciation of the beauty and aesthetics, of the fine craftsmanship, of the rich variety of kinds of things that were made.
They are pieces that show us how ancient civilizations lived, and from the artifacts discovered in tombs, how they wanted to be remembered. From the ceramics of Kerma, to the spectacular jewelry of the Nubian king Pianki, to the mysterious sculptures of its capital Merowe.
These beautiful tulip-shaped beakers that are a combination of black and red in the same vessel. There's a statue that's about 5 feet tall, a beautiful example of a Nubian king, perfectly clothed and adorned with his cap crown. We have beautiful necklaces, large-scale inlays from temple walls. It's really amazing to us how they did it, because it would be hard to reproduce that today.
But what's just as fascinating about these objects is what we don't know about them.
We only wish that the Nubians had left information in their own words for us, as the Egyptians did. They left us no writing.
Most of what was written down about Nubian civilizations came from neighboring Egypt. Today, the MFA acknowledges that archaeologists, including Reisner, looked at Nubia with racial prejudice.
When he saw the amazing material that came out of these sites, he concluded at Kerma, for example, that this material was too good to have been made by Black Africans. It must be Egyptian.
One of the goals of the exhibition, Fried says, is not only to highlight the treasures, but also to set the record straight on Nubia's place in history.
You see a progression of the development of the different styles that we identify as Nubian. In some cases, they're very similar to Egyptian. They take what they want and mold it in their own way.
What an exhibition like this does is it provides well-defined historical brick in a wall that is itself much bigger.
Edmund Barry Gaither also says the exhibition feels like a family reunion.
It is, at a personal level, a little bit like visiting how you imagine your great-great-great-great-great-grandfathers and mothers. At another level, it's to enter a story of another of the great adventures in the human enterprise of civilization.
Here, the MFA distances itself from the racist narrative of its forebears. Nubia no longer lives in the shadow of Egypt, but as an equal civilization that rose, conquered, and created on its own terms.
These people, at every point, had a sense of participation in the world of their times. They were not victims. They were not bystanders. They had interest, and they acted to realize those interests.
Okay, so I wanted you guys just to get a feel for that, to see that our ancestors, first of all, Nubia and Egypt were the same thing. They keep trying to make it seem like those are two different states. They were not two different states. It was the same culture, same people. I repeat, same culture, same people. There were conflicts between Kush, or what they call, first of all, the name was Abyssinia, or Abassa, right? That's where the name Ethiopia comes from. Abassa, from the Bassa tribe, or you have because the Bassa lives out in the west, on the west coast now, in Liberia and other places on the west side. And so it's just all same people. We all come from the same people, right? So Nubia and Magmat, the same people, same bloodline, and they had issues, just the same thing you have issues right now in Africa between different societies or tribes or whatever, but it was the same bloodline, same people. It's important that you guys know that, because they keep trying to make it seem like they're two different people, and they're not. Okay. Let's see. Thank you for clearing that up. They are the same. You got that right. They are the same. I think the Caucasian allows us to see what they want us to see, but the real essence to our power they are keeping while they know the real ritual to do and using on us or the world in the matter. Doc said the whole of Africa was Egypt. Correct. So yes, first of all, the Berlin Museum, the Mukasu, they have hundreds of thousands of artifacts hidden that they stole from the continent. I repeat, they have hundreds of thousands of artifacts stolen from Kemet and Nubia. Guys, it's in their museums. They don't put them on display. They're keeping it hidden from the public because they'll clearly show that all of it was Black African people. It was all the same culture. When you study the Egyptian culture, it's the same as the culture throughout the continent. It's all the same. Same people, same culture, same people, same culture. Everyone lived Wu-Sabat. I repeat, everyone lived Wu-Sabat. Wu-Nawab. It was throughout the whole land. All right, and we're going to get into that as we go through this. But let me finish this, because we're at that time. I did the doctrine of rhythm, and the next one is the doctrine of cause and effect. Okay, this is all in the wisdom of Tehuti. Let's see. He taught the doctrine of cause and effect. For every cause, there's an effect, and for every effect, there's a cause. We knew there is no such thing as chance. All that happens in life only happens because it was supposed to happen. This fact of existence allows us to know that creation is mental and could never be by chance, as mundane Western scientists try to teach. So for every cause, there's an effect. For every effect, there's a cause. There's no such thing as chance, guys. The Caucasian teaches that the reason why you have consciousness is that's by chance of brain cells. That's ridiculous. It's not by chance. Consciousness is the existence that grew the universe itself. Okay? Consciousness just not come into existence just because the brain was created. The brain is an intelligent organ. How would the particles or the elements or the cells of the brain come together to create consciousness if the cells weren't conscious? The cell, meaning how can unintelligence create intelligence? I repeat, it is impossible for unintelligence to create intelligence. Stop listening to these crazy people say these weird things to you. Okay? Consciousness existed before the brain. There ain't no question about that. But they acting like that's some big question. That's simple science. And that was taught in the wisdom of the Tehuti. Our ancestors been knew this reality. That's simple. Let's go. The next was the doctrine of gender. Our wisdom of Tehuti taught. Nature creates based on gender, not so much as male versus female in the human sense, but what male represent, which is masculine, or what we call centripetal forces of nature, which are pulling energies. And the female, which is the feminine or feminine, is centrifugal forces, which are pushing forces within nature. Now, the pulling force is a magnetic field that attracts things that is within its circumference. That's what a sun does. The sun attracts the planets that orbits it into its magnetic field. It's a centripetal force. And the pushing force is a repelling or germinating energy that makes the grass grow, allows mothers to give birth, and repels negative forces from positive forces. So what makes the earth, the grass of the earth grow? What makes the trees grow? The flowers grow, come out of the earth, right? That's a centrifugal force. That's an energy that pushes out life. That's what black holes does. A black hole pushes out suns in the universe. It's a centrifugal force. And these opposing forces, one represented the feminine energy, the other represented the masculine energy. They call it the forces of heaven and earth, and the ancients called it that. And that represented gender. So the female represented one energy force, and the male represented another energy force. Okay, and that's the doctrine of gender. The next doctrine is the doctrine of growth. If you are not growing, you are dying. I repeat, if you're not growing, you are dying. I repeat, if you're not growing, you are dying. Nature is based on growth and expansion. Life is about growing from a weak state into a strong state, or growing from a weak mind to a strong mind, or growing from a limited knowledge to vast knowledge. That's why scientists know the universe is expanding, it's growing. That's what nature, life is all about. Existence is all about. Anyone who's not growing, they're dying. Anyone who's not growing, they're dying. Look at black people around the world. We're not growing in intellect. We're still, for the last 500 years, we're being ruled by foreigners. We haven't grown in 500 years. That's why we're dying. That's why we're suffering. We haven't been able to reason ourselves out of our situation because we've lost our ability to reason soundly, intelligently, to find solutions to problems, The only way we're going to be able to find solutions to problems is to get back to our original way of doing things, our original culture. And it was advanced culture we lived, a very advanced culture. Let's keep going. Last one, the doctrine of breathing. Breath is life. All things that move are breathing, which is no more than an in and out motion or up and down motion, which allows created things to exist. The number of breaths determines the length of one's life. Daily rhythmic breathing is what puts humans in tune with the forces of nature, which prolongs one life by harnessing life force energy, aka sachem. We call it sachem. into our body. The Hindus call it prana. The Chinese call it chi. We called it sakhem. Okay, and it's life force energy. And that life force energy is all around us and inside us. And through rhythmic breathing, you can harness this. Sakhem is what allows your body to recharge during sleep. I repeat, Sakhem is what allows your body to recharge during sleep. This is why we do meditation. When you learn meditation, you're able to harness Sakhem into the body. That's why when you read the Bible, read the book of Matthew, chapter 6, verse 22. Read the Bible, Matthew's chapter 6, verse 22. It talks about the body becoming full of light. The body becoming full of light. That's Sakhem, right? We learned that through rituals, and that's how you open your third eye. That's how you turn on your arusha, your chakras, to open up your third eye by flooding the body with Sakhem. And you do that through meditation, through concentration exercises, through chants, through prayer systems, and positive mind. All of these things has to be practiced on a daily basis. But the key is Ashak. The key is Ashak. Never forget that, guys. Never forget it. The key is Ashak. You're not going to do anything unless you're in the power of Ashak, the power of love. I can't stress that enough. The power of love. Okay? And so this was a lot. And we're at that time. This is a lot. And so I hope this helps. Guys, also want to put the word out for you guys to put the word out, right? We have to grow our class. We have to try to as we say, each one teach one. Tell people about what we're teaching. Try to inform people about the what we're trying to do to re-educate our people, right? Introduce people to our lectures, the videos. This will only grow with you guys' help and dedication. I'm doing my part the best I can, right? I'm doing my part the best I can to put this information out. And the only payment that I ask for is you guys put the time and energy in to let other people know, that our people have to get back to making decisions based on sound right reasoning, identifying with our ancient cultures. And I hope you now understand the importance of language is about tones, frequencies, and vibrations, and why we should not be speaking this dead language of English that is not helping us. So I hope you guys, can understand this, and we will continue this journey. I'm not going to stop. As you know, I've been doing this for over 30 some odd years. So I'm not going to stop. And all I can do is teach, and I'm going to continue to do that. And our goal is we want to see the conditions for us change on this planet, because we're not, life is hard for us. And it's only hard because of how we are living. It's only hard because we're living these foreign cultures that's destroying us, as I keep saying. So next week, we're going to deal with the resurrection, what that's all about, the first resurrection and the second resurrection. We're going to go into how our ancestors taught this principle about the first resurrection and the second resurrection and what that means. And this is the basis of what we teach in Wu-Sabat. This is the basis of what we teach in Wu-Sabat about the first resurrection and the second resurrection. And until then, as I said, I love all you guys, right? And we're going to be here the same time next week. And we're going to end with a prayer. So we're going to, if I can find our prayer systems, we're going to end with a prayer. And then we're going to pick it up again next week with another topic. And I love you all. Abdul Kalam Namasat Wubazun Amad Kasam on the far pa paut. Anuki Jawab pa ashuk m pa paut. Wu Kale ashuk kawun Jawaf Naya. Anuki Kasamon m pa paut. Wu pa paut kawun Kasamon m Naya. Anuki Wahu Ama pa paut. Wu pa paut kawun Wahu Ama Naya. Naku Kodor Naju Amad Kasamon m pa paut. Wu Khabub Amad Shikasun. Nakuk Kodor Kawan Kalab Pafaf Nakuk Daya Jawab Papa Ut. Ama Wasu Ama Dayani Kawun Lake Bakui Jawab Papa Ut. Anuki Yabab Bina Fasni. Papa Ut Kawun. Anuki. Papa Ut Kodor. Nakuk Kodor. Pa'put amu. Nakuk amu. Lahehum manehnun. Layehum manehnun. Ahumata korehum. Ahumata korekum. Ahumata korenun. Ahumata jawefnaya. Ahumata naya wu anukihum. Ye ashuk re'e. Asmua jayenun. Ye unataro afuknun. Anunata kharaukum. Ye unataro akfuknun. Akfuknun akfuknun. Ye unataro nun. Anun. Atun. Atun. Amen. Jed 4. All right. Till next week. Again, I love you guys. Why do, Yasar?